Hello. So today what I want to do is go over the benefits of both of these blades in the bush. Now this one here is a Bowie knife that I've had since the 80s and I've used it many times over the years. Love this knife as a bush knife. This one here is a Seax that I just made a couple months ago. I've been using that. It's been working great for what I've wanted to do with it. But I'm going to go over some of the things that one can do and another can't. First off, we've got the Seax here. So this here is your Seax. It is one piece of metal with scales attached, so it's a full tang. It has a flat grind on it, which is a robust grind. I designed this so I could split wood with it, I can chop with it. It's basically my heavy duty knife that I take to the bush. The Bowie here, the Bowie has a hollow grind on it, so it's a thinner blade, thinner edge, so it's going to cut deeper and it's going to carve a little easier, but it's also very robust up at the top. It's a little thicker and so on, so it's a little heavier of a blade as well. So it's a great chopper. The only thing is it is a thinner blade, so this one here would be more apt to roll or chip compared to this one here. Now this Bowie here I've used many years. Like I said, I have never had a chip in it or a roll until I used it about a year ago, and I did get a couple rolls in the edge only. But it's also a knife from the 1980s, and I have been taking care of it, but I must have hit something that I shouldn't have hit. But I just took and ground those off, and it still works just as well. This one here, like I mentioned, this one's a little beefier, so it's a thicker edge here with this flat grind. So it's a little more resistance when you're trying to carve fine and such, but it still works great. So what I'm going to do, this tree right here has a lot of branches on it. And delimbing a tree with a big blade like this is a great test. That's why I take a big blade, so I can delimb fast if I have to make a shelter and such. And we're going to try that out now with each blade and see how they perform. So first we're going to use the Bowie, and I'm just going to go from this side and just start going up through removing branches. The Bowie worked very well to delimb the tree. I was getting up to 1 inch branches on that. Took a couple hits on that, but basically finger size and below, one swipe. And you don't get a whole lot of power swinging backwards like that, but it's a safe way to do so because it's on the other side of the tree and it's less chance of you getting harmed. Now what I'm going to do is use the Seax. What I do like about this is this handle. It hooks down so your hand comes back, and it helps with your grip so this doesn't go flying out of your hand. The Seax here, as you see, I've got a swell on there to keep my hand in place, but you swinging this, it could fly out of your hands. That's why I have a lanyard on here, and I'm gonna take that, put that on. That stops it from coming out of my hand. Now let's see how this one does. I'm going to be chopping downward this way on this one because I can't turn this way and use my left hand. So I'm going to be going basically like this, coming there and coming down. So the Seax performed just as well as the Bowie did, taking off those branches. Finger size and below, no problem. The 1 inch and such, a couple, 2, 3 hits, you know, sometimes a couple more. It's according on the branch and how much leverage you have and so on. But both worked very well for taking off branches and delimbing. So very good. That's one of the tests. That's something that I myself want in a bush knife. Next, what I'm going to do is do some batoning. I wanted this knife so I could baton. That's why I made it the full flat grind to make it a beefy blade. Also, I have batoned and such with that Bowie. Now you got to remember that the Seax throughout ages was used as an all-around knife. It was used for fighting, of course, but it was also used around the camp and so on. As well as the Bowie knife was a fighting knife, but it was also used around camp. So these are classic knives, and I just wanted to see the differences of the designs, how they work in the wilderness. So splitting wood, that's what we're going to do now. So first we're going to use the Bowie knife and split this piece of wood. So I've got it back here, got my baton. Myself, I have knives that I have baton with, and they're built for batoning, and usually a couple inches like this, not free and such. I haven't ever had a problem batoning a knife. I find it a very safe way to split my wood. So that split that pretty decent. This here is also fir wood, so it's a soft wood, but as you see, it is very, very twisty grain. Now what we're going to do is use the Seax. Take the Seax, put it on there. Let's see how this one splits. First off, get it on something solid. Wow, right here, as you see, it's slipping off of here, but this one is very solid, full of knots is what I'm actually chopping through. I'll show you when I'm done. But it puts this to a really good test. So, what that did right there is that just showed me that this can take a beating and it still does split. Look at this wood. It's actually straight there. Look how twisted that is. This is actually level on this side now. Also, had to split through those knots. So that one there, I have split a lot of wood with. I've split a lot of wood with the Bowie as well. They both perform very well. Sometimes you gotta smack it through because some still can give you a little bit of trouble. But it performed well, both of them. Now let's try some chopping and then some fine carving. So we're gonna take the Seax first and chop into this thing a few times. We'll take 10 swings with both. And grain always differs. You may hit something into a knot and such, so the depth isn't going to matter. One may take a little bit longer, but just as long as it gets the job done. So I'll start with this one, and then we'll do the Bowie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's try the Bowie. 1. Ugh. Hollow grind sinks in really well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As you see, the thinner blade definitely sinks in a lot better, but I'm not sure. This one here, where it's an old blade, I just rolled the edge. Like I said, I've had this since the 80s, and it was actually made in Pakistan. It's been a great blade over the years, but yeah, I must just hit this knot right here, and I did roll the edge a little bit. That is the downfall of a thinner blade. You can roll an edge a lot easier, but both perform very well. Let's try some carving. So you can see the edge there. I did roll it. Now, that's not the design flaw. There are many different types of Bowie knives, and this one here being full tang, a lot of them wasn't even full tang. So this is just one version of the style, the design, and that's what we're testing. Both are good choppers. This one here has the hollow grind. Not all did. Some had saber and so on. So let's get back to the design and let's do some carving. This one here, being the thinner blade, it carves very, very nice. And to be honest, what I love about this is you have the belly here. This here allows for me to do fine carving. Get you in here. So if I needed to, I could carve a spoon with this. I've done it with many larger knives. And that is something that I also like in a bush knife. Being able to do tasks and basically create items out here that I may need to use. So I really like this design because it is a great carver. It's a great chopper. And with the upsweep, then you have the option that you can do nice fine carving like this and so on. You can do some drilling as well. So a very, very nice design. Now let's check out the Seax. With the Seax, it's also a very nice carver. Even though it has that full flat grind. But where it lacks is it's a straight blade. So to carve a spoon and such, I can't get in around and so on. So some tasks I won't be able to do that I could do with the Bowie. So great, they chop, they split, they delimb, great bush knives. The only thing is, if I want to carve a spoon, it's going to be more difficult with this, where I could easily do it with the Bowie. So both great knives, both classics, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.